Yes. Yeah. Good evening, all. So before I start, can anyone please confirm whether my voice is clear, whether the screen is visible or not? Yes. Fine. Thank you. So today I'll be just briefing you about entering into the technicals of Python, data types and variables. Every organization use case has got data and every organization use case has got data and operations. Every organized use case has got data and operations. Data represented, right, using data types or variable. Data represented using data types and variables. Operations represented using functions. Data by using data types and variables. Operations represented by using functions. For example, if you take example of any organization like a bank, bank has got data and operations. Data means like customer name, account number, address, balance, branch, and operations like deposit operation, withdraw operation, deposit, withdraw, transfer operations, right? So customer data represented using data types and variables, operations using functions. Later I discuss about functions, but as of now, data types and variables. If you are comparing these data types with other programming languages, if you observe C or C++ or Java, C++ or Java comparison with Python, C++ or Java compared with Python. Python supports dynamic data types. Python supports dynamic data types. If you observe in other programming language, if you want to define a variable like x equal to 10, compulsory you need to say int x. Without this data type defining, you cannot create a variable x. Y equal to 4.5. So float of y equal to 4.5. Compulsory this data type I need to define, right? So this is what float variable z equal to hello. So it is what string type. So compulsory, this data type defining is compulsory. If you want to define a variable, this data type says compulsory. X is 10, Y is 4.5, Z is hello, right? Okay. Now the same thing, I'm defining the same thing if I write in Python, no need to define this data types int or float or string. Directly I can say X as 10. Directly I can say Y as 4.5. Directly I can say Z has hello in Python. Just check this. What kind of variable X is means based on this data type defining, you are saying it as integer variable. What kind of variable Y is based on this data type defining, you are saying it as float type. What kind of variable Z is means based on this data type defining, you are saying it as string type. You are saying it as string type. But what kind of variable X is? In Python, what kind of variable X is? So, okay, in this, okay, you have got data type based on this data type, you are saying, but here in Python, what value you are assigning to it? What value you are assigning to it? If you are assigning an integer value, integer variable is created dynamically during a runtime. If you are assigning a float value, a float variable is created. If you're assigning a string value is created dynamically during runtime. So in Python, there is a function called type function. If you want to know the type of a variable, type of X is integer. Why it is integer? Because you have assigned an integer value. So integer variable creates type of Y. Why it is a float means you are assigning a float value based upon what value you are assigning. Based on that, variables are created. Type of Z. Type of Z is string type, str, string type, right? Yes. You're facing any problem with the audio? Is my voice clear to all? Can anyone please confirm once again?
Yes, it's clear.
Yes.
Just 1 second. Mm, okay, fine. So what is that? So can we assign both data types to one object? So just I'm going to discuss about this. So you need to clearly understand this Python data types. For that, I'm going to discuss 4 cases now. I'm going to discuss 4 cases to make you understand about this, how exactly a variable is created, how it is stored in the memory, how to print its value, how to print its address. Right. Just check with this. Case one. Case one, right? Whenever you are defining some x equal to 10, whenever you say x equal to 10, in Python, whenever you say x equal to 10, internally one object is going to get created. Internally, one object is going to get created with value 10. This object is going to be stored in the memory. In the memory, it is going to have some address. That address is given to X. Try to say now, everyone, what X is storing. Don't say X is storing 10. X is storing this address. X is storing this address. So here 3 things you need to understand clearly. Whenever I say print X, whenever I say print X, then immediately it goes to this address and print whatever present at that address. What is present at that address? 10. So what is the output you are going to get? 10. Print X means prints the content. Prints the content at that address. So what is the content at that address? 10. Prints the content at that address. What is that? 10. So whenever I say print X, it goes to this address where exactly it is stored in the memory and prints that content. When if I want to print the address where exactly it is stored, ID, there is a function called ID function, ID of X, ID function, ID of X, prints the address of X, prints the address of X. Address of X is what? 103070, right? Yes. Means just I have given some address here, but where exactly it is stored, that address it is going to return. If I want, there is one more function just before I said type, type, type of X. What is the type? Prints the data type of X. What is the data type of X? What value I was assigned to it? Integer. Then it is integer type. Prints the data type of X. What's the data type? Integer type. Understood, right? How to print the content, how to print the address, how to print the type. Everyone. Printing the content is 10, printing the address and printing the data type. Case 2, observe this case 2 now. Mm. From here onwards, everyone try to respond. Unmute yourself and give your response through voice, or also you can give response through chat. You can type your responses in the chat, or you can unmute and you can give a response. If you have got any background noise, try to give a response through Zoom chat. Otherwise, you can unmute yourself and keep responding, right? Try to interact, everyone. Now, I got X as 10, Y as 20. How many objects will be created? Yes, try to respond. How many objects will be created?
True.
Yes, 2 objects. So for 10, one object will be created with value 10. It is going to have some address. It is going to be stored at so and so address that will be given to X. That address is returned to X. Y equal to 20. For this also, one object will be created. One object is going to be created. 104080. That address is given to Y. Now, two different. Okay, now try to answer, everyone. Try to answer. What is print X? It goes to this address and prints that.
10.
What is print X?
10.
10.
10.
Everyone, unmute yourself and try to respond. ID of X, address of X. What is that?
103
103070 max. Type, data type of X. What will be the data type? Type of X. Type of X will be what type?
integer.
As
Int.
you as an integer, it will be int type. Print Y. Print Y. That is what?
20.
20. Type of ID of Y. Sorry, ID of Y is what? 104080.
80.
Yes, that's fine. Now type, what type means you have assigned a integer value, so the type of data type will be integer. This ID, right? This is type of Y means integer type. So here, what is your understanding? Two different variables X and Y with two different values 10 and 20, with two different objects with two different addresses, two different variables, two different values with two different objects with two different addresses. Okay. Observe this case 3 now. Observe this case 3. Now, X value is 10, Y is 10. How many objects are created? Everyone. Try to answer.
2.
1.
How many
Oh,
objects?
1.
How many?
2,
No, no,
2
no.
I think. 2.
One object created, 2 reference variables.
Observe carefully here. One object is created here. So first X equal to 10, one object created with some address. Okay, that's fine. Before creating object for Y, first it will check any object with value 10. If it is already available in the memory, the same address will be given to this Y. Means X is 10, Y is 10, if Z also 10. Don't think like 3 objects 10, 10, 10 will be created in the memory. It won't be duplicated. Already 10 is there with some address. The same will be given to X, Y, and Z. For example, if X is 10, Y is 20, Z is 30. Assume 10, 20, and 30 X, Y, Z values. Now try to say how many objects?
3 objects.
Three. X value is 10, Y is 20, Z is 30. If how many objects?
1 object, 3 reference variables.
3 objects will be created. Try to understand the question. X value is 10, Y equal to 20, I'm saying. Z is 30, I'm saying.
3.
How many objects? 3 objects.
Three.
So very simple logic here. If the contents are same, one object. If the contents are different, case 2. If the contents are different, contents are different, 10, 20, multiple objects. If the contents are same, this case 3. What is it? If the contents are same, only one object. Means if we remove X, what happens? Still Y and Z will be having that address. X and Y will be having that address. Okay, still if you are removing X, Y and Z will be pointing to 10. Object won't be removed. If you are removing this X, right, do you think that object will be removed? There is a small story I need to discuss. If you want to remove this object to 10, there is a concept called garbage collector. I will be discussing it, but it's too early to discuss. But just I'll give overview as of now. But okay, I'll come back to that. But try to answer X, Y, and Z. They are sharing the same content. They are sharing the same address here. Can I say print X? First, let me complete these 4 cases. I'll come back to that. Print X, print Y, print Z. They have got the same content. Print address of X, address of X, address of Y, address of all these are address of X, address of Y, address. They are going to have the same address. That is 103070. This is 10, right? This is case 3. Again, the contents are same, only one object, only one address. Case 4, observe this case 4 now. In the case 4, previously X and Y I have taken. Now I am saying X is 10, X is 20. Now how many objects? X and X, not XY. X is 10, next X is 20. How many objects here?
2 objects.
2
10,
objects.
103070. X equal to 20. One more object, 104080. This one more object. This is fine, okay. But whenever I say print X, what is the X value it is going to print? 10 or 20 or both?
Last assigned one.
The latest defined, right? 20 it prints. Print ID of X, 104080. Type of X is integer. So that's fine, but what happens to the previous object 10? It will be available or removed, or what can I, is there any possibility to print that previous object value? What happens to the previous object? If I say print X, print X, print X for 10 times, it will print 20 only always. 10 times if you say print X, 20 times it will print 20 only. Is there any chance of printing the previous object value 10? What happens to that? To know what happened to this object, right? There is a small concept called garbage collector. Just I'll go back to this case 3 and I'll just discuss about that. What is too early to discuss that concept, but just I'll give overview as of now. Later I'll discuss in brief with multiple examples in object-oriented programming. Fine. Garbage collector. Just removes unused or unreferred objects. Removes unused or unreferred objects from the memory. Removes unused or unreferred objects from the memory. Garbage collector, what it does, removes unused or unreferred objects from the memory. What do you mean by unused or unreferred objects? Simply, objects whose reference count becomes 0. Understand, lot of understanding here. Objects whose reference count becomes 0. We call those objects as unused or unreferred objects. Object whose reference count becomes 0, then immediately garbage collector removes these objects. from the memory. Automatically. Objects whose reference count becomes 0, then immediately garbage collector removes these objects from the memory automatically. You may ask, what is this reference count becoming 0? What is this reference count and why it will become 0? First, what is this reference count? So everything I'll explain practically. Just 1 second. Reference count. Number of variables. Reference count means number of variables pointing to an object, or number of variables storing address of an object. Understand what is reference count means? Number of variables pointing to an object or number of variables storing address of an object. Okay, to explain all these things, right, just observe this diagram. There is an object 10. How many variables are pointing to this object 10? How many variables? X is pointing to this object, Y is pointing to this, Z is pointing. How many variables are pointing? Everyone, right? Everyone, try to respond.
3.
3 variables. So what is the reference count?
3.
3. Reference count is 3. X is pointing to this, Y is pointing, Z is pointing. Or X is storing this object address, Y is storing this object address, Z is storing. So reference count is 3. This is fine. But slowly, Y value is modified to 20. Slowly, Y value modified to 20. What happens if Y value modified to 20? What happens if Y value modified to 20? A new object to 20 is created with some address, it's so and so address. That address is taken by Y now. Y is pointing to the new object. Y is pointing to the new object now. Y is not pointing to this now. Y is not pointing to this. Now say, what is the reference count now? What is the reference count to this, of this object to 10?
2.
Reference count is 2, right?
Yeah.
Reference count is 2 because X and Z only pointing to this. Now Y is pointing to the new object. Slowly, Z value also modified to 30. Means another new object is created. That address is given to Z. Now Z is not pointing to this object 10. Now Z is pointed to the object 30. Now what is the reference count of this object 10?
1.
Every reference count is 1. Means only X is pointing to object 10. Y and Z, previously 3 variables were pointing. Now Y and Z, they are pointing to different objects now. Only X is pointing to this object 10. Slowly X value also modified to 50. Means a new object 50 created with some address. Now that address is given to X. X is not pointing to this now. X is made to point to the new object. Now what is the reference count of this object 10?
0.
0, right? Reference count became 0. If any object reference count becomes 0, any object reference count becomes 0, immediately that object, garbage collector removes that object from the memory. This object is going to get removed from the memory. This much story, right? To remove an object, directly you cannot remove an object. If you want to remove that object, make that reference count to 0. Reference count means it was 3. Slowly remove that Y, Z, and X. Now the object reference count became 0. Now it is going to get removed from the memory. Understood everyone? What is reference count? When an object is going to get removed? What is reference count when an object is going to get removed? Whenever you modify a variable, the previous object reference count becomes decreases. Now, based on this understanding, Come back to this case for any query in this, anyone? Hello? Initially, the reference count was 3. Slowly, when they are modified, slowly the reference count became 0. Any reference count became 0. If reference count became 0, right? No variable is referring it. Unreferred object it is. No variable is using it. No variable is referring it. It is unused. Unused means it should be removed from the memory. Who removes? Garbage collector. When it removes, reference count becomes 0, right? So these things I'll be discussing more briefly, right, with multiple examples. This is just an overview of it. Now come back based on this understanding. Come back to this case 4. Now try to answer. Forget about x equal to 20 for a while. X equal to 10. For this object 10, what is the reference count? How many variables are pointing?
1.
1.
1.
Reference count is 1. Only one variable is pointing. Slowly the x value modified to 20. Now x is made to point to the new object to 20. Now x is not pointing to this. What is the reference count now?
0.
0. Reference count 0 means what happens to this object? Gets removed. By whom? Garbage collector. Means I was asking you a query. I was just asking you a query, right? It is always printing 20. Is there any possibility of printing the value of the previous object? Is there any possibility? The object got removed. The object got removed. If x equal to 30, if I say in the next line, what happens to 20?
So is
So-
it overwriting the value?
No, that got removed totally. The
Okay.
object 10 got removed totally from the memory. X equal to 30 means a new object 30 will be created. Now x will be pointing to that 30. Now this x won't be pointing to 20. 20 gets removed from the memory. Right? Okay. So these 4 cases, right? Understood all these 4 cases when we define some variables in Python. So just observe this here in this search panel, type IDLE, Integrated Development Environment, if you have installed Python. So okay, we'll get this is the Python shell file, new file you can say here. First case 1. Defining a variable. X value is 10. Print x. Case 1, defining a variable. Print x. Print the address ID of x. Type of x. Save it. I created a separate folder for this batch. Go to the C drive. Go to this Python 9 p.m. batch. int1.py. In any name.py extension. Now here run option is the run module. What is the text value? 10. Print x means 10. I'm keeping both side by side, the output and this. Print x means 10. ID of x, the address where exactly is stored in the memory. Type of x, integer type. That is case 1. Now I'm copying the same code. Copy. Again, I'm saying file new to write a new program code. New file. Pasting it. Case 2. What is case 2? X is 10. Y is 20. 2 different variables, 2 different values. Defining 2 different variables. Observe, defining 2 different variables. This is common in Python, starting with hash symbol, not executable. If you want to just say what is the program for case 2, defining 2 different variables with 2 different values. Then 2 different objects gets created. Case 2, defining two different variables with two different values, then two different objects gets created. Two different variables with two different values, then two different objects gets created with two different addresses. X is 10, Y is 20. Print X, address of X, type of X. The same thing I'll copy for Y also. Right. Control V. So just check this. Print Y, address of Y, type of Y. Try to respond. Address of X and address of Y, will it be same or different? Address. Everyone.
Different, sir.
Different, right? Because two different objects, two different addresses will be created.
Yeah.
Observe this into 2.py, right? Two different variables with two different values, then two different objects gets created with two different addresses. Okay, check this. Run module. Observe this output. Print X 10, print Y 20. Address of this X means it has got its own object, its own address. 20 has got its own object in its address. Data type is integer type, right? Fine. Observe this case 3 here. Copying the same code. Copy the same code. File, new file we say. And here I'm pasting it. Case 3. Defining two different variables. X is a 10, Y also 10. Observe here, X is a 10, Y also 10. Defining two different variables. Defining two different variables with same values. With same values. Then only one object gets created. Defining two different variables with same values, then only one object gets created. Then only one object gets created. And this address is returned to both. Now try to respond. Here this is say with any name integer 3.py. Now try to respond. X is 10, Y is 10. Means only one object created, only one address. So address of X and address of Y, will it be same or different? Everyone.
Sir, it will be same.
Same.
It has to be same, right? Only one object,
Yeah.
only one address. 10, 10. Address will be same. This address type also will be same. Run module. So 10 and 10. Address also same. Type also same. Right? Fine. Case 4. Same thing I'll copy up to here. File, new file. Case 4. Observe. Defining, observe here, defining two variables. Defining two variables. Observe. Two variables x and x, but here x value is 20. Two variables with same name, x and x with same name, two variables with the same name, but with different values, then two different objects gets created. Then two different objects gets created. Different values. Then two different objects gets created, and the previous one gets removed. X is 10, X is 20. It always prints the 20, address of 20, type of this 20. Run module. Always it prints 20, address of 20, type is. Any queries in these four cases, anyone? Any queries you have got in this four cases? I got one query in this case 3. X value is 10, Y is 10.0. Address of X and Y. See, now if it is 10 and 10, address will be same, right? Address of X, address of Y. Only one object, one address. But if it is 10.0, address will be same or different? Is the address going to be the same or different?
Different, sir.
Different.
Because
10.0 is a Boolean value.
type of X is integer, type of Y is float type. Float. A type of X is integer, this is float type. Two different objects, means two different addresses. They are not same, different, right? 10 and 10.0, right? Different. Okay, so there are four cases, right? What we discussed. Anil, where you are using the text there? You are not printing the X value there first. The address of X, where you are printing there in your program code? Where you are printing the address of X there?
No, sir, I directly calling the ID.
Hmm.
So after that, I call the ID of 10.
Now, what is that query in that?
No, okay. You said that the object will be deleted,
Yes.
but still 10 is showing the value of the, the register value. Created only one reference variable 10. After that, I deleted X. Later, I checked the ID of 10. It is still showing the same address.
Previously, X is 10, Y also 10, you have said?
No, I only declared only X is equal to 10.
Mm-hmm.
So then I printed the ID. So after that, I deleted X. Still the 10.
You are printing the address of which one?
10,
Not X, right?
not X.
You print the address of X once. You are you print the address of X. You are not at all printing the X address at all in that program code. Address of X you print. What it is saying?
It is
What
one
it is saying?
So
What it is giving output? Whenever you are saying x equal to 10, you are supposed to print the address of x, not the address of 10. Address of x you need to print.
Second case, I printed the address as
Whenever you say del x, try to print the address of x. X won't be available. It gives error here. You are supposed to print this variable values. Address of x, address of a variable. You are going to apply address and address of x, address of x. It will have some address. It's storing this 10 object address is stored by x. Right? It prints some address. Whenever you say del x means the x, whatever that is going to get removed, there won't be any address. You will get error there. Right? Don't say address of 10. So variable means one second. X is a variable storing the value 10. So always try to print the x value. Print always the address of this value, type of this value. You are concerned about this x. Print x, address of x, type of x. How many variables pointing to this object 10 means x is pointing. Whenever you say del x, this x will be removed, this connection. Now, whenever you say address of x, x doesn't have, x is not, previously it was storing this address. Now, x is not storing any address. Fine. Thus, those things.
But is the value still available, sir? If you delete that also, if you delete the variable.
See, the object x was pointing to that. X was pointing to that object 10. But later what happened? No variable is pointing to that. It is unused or unreferred now. That will be removed immediately by the garbage collector.
Okay.
It is unused object. It is unused objects.
Can
So
we
for
give that ID of 10, sir? Like, I think Anil has given del x and ID of x. Is this correct or wrong? Can we give ID of 10?
He didn't print the, you can print the address of 10s, but he didn't print the x value there. Anywhere he didn't print the x value.
But it's still showing the value, the address.
IDL. So just observe
Okay,
this.
got it.
What is it?
I got it, sir. I think it takes some time to delete, maybe, but when he says ID of 10, it's still giving the address, right? The address of 10 value. After some time, it may get deleted. That is what you mean to say.
X is 10. Print x and its address. Both you print side by side. X means 10 it will print, and beside that you print the address. Both are right. Control S. Okay. Now check this, right? First I am running this. Run a run module. 10 and its address. Okay. Del X. Del X you say. Forget about the address first. First you try to say print X first. Run module. Name X is not defined. Okay, you try to print address of X also. Run module. First X value was 10. Okay, it has got some address. Immediately what you did? Your del removed the text. Now X is not available, its address also not available. First, that X is print X, the content itself not available, right?
Yeah.
That is what. Because once you have removed it, it's not.
But sir, you said na, if the reference count becomes 0, the object will be get deleted. Here 10 is the object, na, but still it is available at the address.
See here, the X value was 10, printing first you have printed it. But once you have removed it, you cannot print this content, you cannot print the address. It's
Yeah,
not
sir.
available.
This is throwing error, I understood, but the reference count become 0 when you deleted the X.
Yes.
But you said garbage collector will delete that 10 value from the register address, but still the address is showing.
Where it is showing the address?
You can type ID of 10. So the here X is deleted, sir, but 10 still in the memory.
So whenever, see here, X equal to 10, X equal to 10. So generally, if you are giving some, okay, try to see this X equal to 10. This is one variable. X is a variable. X is storing this object 10 address. X is storing this object. Who is storing this 10 address? This object 10 address. X is storing. X is storing. Who is storing this X address means X. That's why whenever I say print X, it will go to this address where exactly it is stored and it prints whatever content present at that address, that value it is going to print, it address it is going to print. Print X, address of X. Whenever you say del X, everything will be removed. First, that connection will be removed, then the garbage cutter removes that print X, address of X. You can, in your interactive mode, if you are saying the address of 10, all those things, okay, you will be getting it. But variable defining is in this way. You need to define a variable in this way, printing the variable, printing the address of the variable, type of the variable like this. Printing the content, printing the address, printing the type of this. 10 is not a variable there. Okay, fine. Okay. Always we need to deal with this data types. X, address of X, type of X. Whenever you say del X, that got removed. If you are trying to print, it gives error. This part. See, this is printing this X is different, printing this 10 is different. Both are not same. Print 10, print X.
Yeah, that was my doubt, sir.
Printer, this X is different, printing this 10 is different.
Okay.
Is printing address of 10 directly. Printer 10, print address of 10 is printing. Printing 10. Print address of 10 is printing. In this way is printing. There is no use for that. Print address of 10. Okay, print 10 directly, it prints 10. Address of 10 it will print. But where you cannot use this. This is a way we are defining X equal to 10. This address is assigned to X. Then printing its address, printing its content, printing its type. Okay. X is 10, Y is 10. Observe here. In this case, del x, if I say the connection will be removed, the object won't be removed in this case because the reference count will be 2. X is pointing to 10, Y is pointing to 10. Internally, the reference count will be 2. Okay. Fine. So just don't, I doesn't want, because the, what is the,
लेसन
please,
क्या बोलते हैं ऐसे कंपटीशन में
Rajeshwar K, right? P in mute.
सॉरी
Rajeshwar K. So there is a concept called a del. There is a concept called a destructor. There is a concept called a garbage collector. Right? These three things you need to understand. I doesn't want to discuss all this now, right? Garbage collector. Del is there. I didn't discuss anything about the del. What del is going to do? Del directly, it cannot remove an object. One thing, del cannot remove an object. Understand, right? Del cannot remove an object. Garbage collector only can remove an object in that. In Python, garbage collector is the only thing which can remove an object.
So we need to manually call garbage collector.
It runs automatically, right? See, Anil, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I doesn't want to discuss all these topics in this initial level, right? You are
Yeah.
deviating,
sir.
deviating the demo, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So just given an how it is. Garbage clutter removes an object. Del just decreases the reference count. That's it. Decreases the reference count. If X is 10, Y is 10, Z is 10, reference count is 3 now. Del X means only the X connection will be removed. Still, Y and Z are pointing to this. Reference count is 2. The object is not removed. Again, if you say del Y, del X, del X, del Y, still the object available because Z is pointing. If we say del Z also, right? Now, X is not pointing, Y is not pointing, Z is not pointing. First here, X connection removed. Still Y and Z, they are pointing to this object 10. Del Y also means Y connection also removed. Z is pointing to the 10, right? Z is pointing to the 10, right? Still object not removed. Now del Z. Now you are saying del Z. Now Z connection also removed. Still the object 10 available. You have removed the connection, X connection, Y connection, Z connection. All the connection you have removed for this 10. Now it is unused, unreferred object now. No variables are pointing to this. No variable are using this address. Previously, X was using this address, Y was using this address, Z also was using this address. X is pointing to this, Y is pointing to this, Z is pointing to this. Now, still this 10 is available. Now it is unused or unreferred. Immediately, garbage collector is a background program which runs in the background, which is going to remove this object now in the background. We no need to invoke this garbage collector. We no need to write any program code for garbage collector. But for this, you need to say del X, del Y, del Z, you will be saying. Del, don't think del X means that immediately that object will be removed and why you are getting that 10, not like that. Del can remove only that reference count is there. Just now I said this, if you see in the diagram, whenever you say del X, this connection will be removed. This connection will be removed. Still this Y and Z will be pointing. Again, del Y also, if you say, this connection also will be removed. Again, del Z means this connection also will be. Now this object will be removed. 3 times. See, for example, very simple. 10 is there. X is pointing. Y is pointing. Z is pointing. So how many times I need to to remove this object, right? 3 times I need to say del X. This will be. Now still Y and Z. Again say del Y. This connection also removed. Now again you say del Z. Now this. You don't think that del x means this object will be removed, then y and z will be pointing to whom? So still y and z will be pointing. Del y also is the connection. Now del z. Now no variables are pointing. Now it is unused, unreferred. Now garbage collector will remove this object. In a Python, only garbage collector can remove that object. Del is just a keyword. Right? That's what. So I doesn't want to explain all this as of now. So just as you asked, del lot of things are there. Destructor is there. Again, that is a destructor is there. Del is there, garbage collector is there. These things I'll be discussing separately. Understood these 4 cases now? How exactly that variables, just garbage collector, just for your understanding, who removes that object, when that object is removed, what is the reference count? Del just decreases the reference counter. It was 3, it will make it a 2. Again, del you apply, again it will make it 1. Again you apply del, it will become 0. Once it becomes 0, garbage collector removes. Right? That's what del can do that. Okay, fine. So tomorrow also you can attend the sessions same time at 10 o'clock using the same link, right? To see more discussions, right? Tomorrow I'll be just going practically with this concept of data types, different fundamental data types are there, collection data types are there. What are the various fundamental types, collection types, right? Yes. Okay. Any queries you got as part of today's session, right? How exactly in Python dynamic data types? So no need to give any time based on what value you are assigning, the object, the variable is created dynamically. This is created dynamically during runtime. If you're assigning a float value, float variable created. If you're assigning a string value, string variable created. Based upon what value you are assigning, this are created accordingly, right? Fine. So once check the course content at everyone, Python basics, lot of in brief, in depth we'll be discussing. So Python operations, operations in Python, Python IDs, flow control statements, looping statements, strings, collections, lists, tuples, sets, dictionaries, functions in Python, modules in Python, modular programming, right? Packages in Python, errors and exception handling, file handling in Python, object-oriented programming, right? So here you can see in this object-oriented programming concept, what object reference count. Here you can see object reference count, destructor, garbage collector. Here in this concept, you will be seeing the concept of del here, right? Fine. Okay. Regular expressions, right? Regular expressions. Yes. So yes, database access, Python database connectivity, installation of one database. I'll be showing you how to connect with that or performing. But just by writing Python code, I need to create a table. By writing Python code, I need to insert data into table. Not like just as you did in SQL. If I want to remove some data from the SQL table, I need to write a Python code. I execute the Python code. Go and check in your database. Data should have been removed. By writing Python code, table has to be created. Go and check in the database whether it is created or not. In this way, by writing Python code only, I need to perform all these things. Database related operations, transaction management, datetime module, OS module also similar to that. If I want to create a directory, if I want to remove a directory, everything by writing Python code. Write a Python code to remove a directory. Write a Python code to create a directory, rename a directory. Everything by writing Python code only, renaming a directory or deleting a directory, listing out what is present in the directory only. Everything you should do by writing Python script. Advanced concepts like iterators, generators, closers, decorators, web scraping, right? Working with CSV, XML, JSON files. GUI programming, right? TK Inter, graphical programming, Excel workbook, like data analytics, introduction to data science, the important libraries of Python, right? Pandas module in brief, NumPy model in brief, and Matplotlib plottings and visualizations. Lot of jobs available on these three libraries: Pandas, NumPy, and Matplotlib, right? Yes. So these things actually, if you see other training sites, these modules won't be covered, right? Pandas, NumPy, and Matplotlib, the important modules of Python. These 30 topics I'll be discussing as part of Python Core and Advanced. And people who will go for full stack, this Django framework, web frameworks, the Django installation, project, total for a creation of project, what are the things required, everything you will be learning in this Django framework. See, many .py files will be there. Automatically, the .py files will be created, manage.py, URLs, settings, admin, models, all this py file will be created automatically. We won't create it. Just we'll do some modifications project to project, right? These are project architecture, right? You want to create a project in Python, everything one by one file we'll be discussing, right? So the environment setup, installation, working with different types of IDs, applications creations, Django views, Django templates, Django admin, Django models, so concepts, all these for project creations will be MVT architecture, model view template. In Java, we see MVC. And the what are the things required? UI technologies like HTML, CSS, and even JavaScript is going to be covered, right? Right. Apart from this, one more framework I'm going to cover, Flask framework, right? And one database, MySQL database, right? So just I was saying you, right? This is the thing. For Python Core and Advanced, nearly 70 hours I'll be spending. 6,000 is the course fee for you. And for people who go for full stack, UI technologies, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, Django, Flask, MySQL project. So for Python, 70 hours. For this framework, nearly 70 hours. 70 plus 70, 140 hours for this both. 6K plus 7K, 13K. But if you're taking the total package, it is 12K. Timing will be 9 p.m. IST only. You'll be getting each and every video of it. So it's not downloadable, only playable. So each clear soft copy of the notes for all these assignments and tasks. WhatsApp, a group will be created. Then plus code examples and interview questions, right? So there is also a big data package, I said, where Hadoop, PySpark, Linux, and Python is going to be covered. Hadoop, PySpark, and Linux will be on weekends. This Python, anyhow, you can continue with the same batch. So in this big data package, I'm saying you are going to get the entire Python Core and Advanced. 15,000 is the course fee where you'll be getting all this. On Saturdays and Sundays evenings, you'll be having this, right? On this Saturday, there is a demo for it. You can call the online team. You can see that numbers in the chart, right? If anyone not attended yesterday's class, you can just check the big message is given by the online team. The video link is given there. Course content link is there. And the payment details is provided, right? Yes.
So these code examples, applications, creation, and interview questions, are you giving it for core and advanced Python, or it is just for the Django framework, like full stack?
This is for this 300 plus code examples for Python
Both?
advanced, core and advanced.
Okay.
And this
Okay.
20 plus applications creations is for these frameworks. Applications creations you'll be doing in this Django framework, right? Yes.
Okay. And this interview question, sir, is it for the same full
Python.
stack?
Python.
Okay,
Yeah,
for
you will
both
be,
full stack and
yes, so Python, after completion of Python, you'll be getting interview questions for Python. After completion of that framework, what you will be getting that for those people. Right?
okay, yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, so you fine. So this is what the entire course content of this. Okay. So tomorrow also, if people can attend the session, same time at 9 p.m. and with the same link to see more on this. But after tomorrow, the link will be changing. You are supposed to get enrolled to get the new link, right, to your mail IDs, right? Fine. So any other queries, right? Anyone? Okay.
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm stopping for now. We'll continue tomorrow. Fine. Thank you all for your time. Good night.